Okay, so this is the emergency inverter build that I'm doing for a friend of mine. And I set up the inverter on the little cart that I was fabricating earlier. And I got it hooked up and it seems to be working. Again, I'm not familiar with this brand of inverter or this brand of battery, but it all seemed to go together fine, and I just navigated the menu. It has a pretty decent user interface. So I was able to just pick my settings directly from the menu without having to chase around very many details. So I put it on wheels. It's not super stable. It's intended to have a second battery possibly in the future. But it's not super stable because when the caster rotates around, it moves in from its more outboard position and it can get a little tippy. But this is not intended to be a mobile device. It's only intended to be put into position. In this case, it's going in a shipping container, and I just wanted to be able to set it on the edge of the container with the forklift and wheel it into position without any heroic stuff. So it's a split phase inverter, and like I had said in the previous video, I have a L1430 set up on it on a 10 gauge output there, and that's got a neutral and two hots, and everything is bonded through the cart with the ground, and we intend to ground it in its final location. So this entire setup will be grounded. So the only inputs that we're going to use are PV, and this model inverter, I suppose maybe I can just show you here. So that's the model number if you want to know. And it'll take 250 volts input. It gets a little cold here where we are, so I'm going to do 200, which will give me an extra 50 volts in case we have a very cold morning. I don't want to over voltage this inverter because I have no clue what it would do. There's, midnight charge controllers that have over voltage protection and stuff like that, but I've got a sneaky suspicion that this doesn't have anything like that. So I bolted the inverter here, and I bolted the battery in, and I set up the battery. It's really simple. There's really not much there. I left this little cover off for you. This terminal block back here, which is my least favorite part, has a little cover I'm going to put on it. But that's the connection. I made sure that I clamped all of the cables very securely, and you might be able to see that in there. So that if you get to tugging on them or anything like that, they're not going to pull out of this little terminal block up here. I was really afraid of that because these 2 kilovolt PV wires, 10 gauge, are really stiff, and also this wire is kind of heavy. So this is that kind of sketchy unknown adapter from Amazon that I was telling you about, and I set up a little load here. So you can hear the inverter has a big fan that ramps as soon as there's a load. And got some load action here. Very hot. And let's see if I can get... Okay. 1.6 kilowatts. So I don't know if you noticed, but the battery was at 54 volts, so it's sagging to 51. That's a sign that having a single battery is not really sufficient to run this inverter. But it works pretty good. I did load test it to 4,000 watts with this setup, with a heater I have, and it performed good. I do have some stuff around the shop that I was unable to start because it has some things have a high initial startup current because they have capacitors in them, and the battery voltage sagged below its cutoff for the inverter, so it faulted out on me. So, but I was able to use the TIG welder to TIG weld some parts of this cart together using this very battery and this inverter. And I was only able to do that because I could use the variable output control, so I could ramp up gently into it. I did have to charge capacitors in the TIG welder here, that one, before I was able to get it to start. And I had the same problem with the VFD on the air compressor. But as soon as the inverter came back online after faulting out, the capacitors in the VFD were still charged, and it was able to start the compressor, no problem. So it's a 3 horsepower, 3-phase air compressor I have. It's out of a ship. And I put a VFD on it for the shop here because I am running off of my inverters. And yeah, so that's the setup. I think I'm going to release it like this, just so that we can get stuff working. And I have another one here. I may set up that one too, just on the side, and go over to my friend's house and add any settings in the menu or anything else that I am able to do. And I may also set up the communication with the battery, although we're not going to be charging. Yeah, I guess we are going to be charging. I don't know what I'll do yet, but I'll be able to adjust those settings in the menu at any other time. So yeah, so that's my little cart project. And there's the back, just so you can see it. And I had to put a little gusset here because this piece of angle was a little floppy. And I kept enough depth here just for another battery. This has to be pushed back all the way for it to fit. Oh, and this is that where I was telling you that this square tube was too short. So I cut 2 pieces of 2-inch angle. This is 2 inch as well. And I ran them through the bandsaw and I cut off about 3/16 of an inch, and then that allowed me to weld them together and just make this longer. It's way faster than going and buying more material just this second, or going to get a big long piece from somewhere in a faraway place. Anyway, so that's the setup, and I hope it looks good, and maybe somebody will be able to do something like that for themselves. I hope that's good. Thanks. Bye-bye.